Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Now, today we're speaking on a topic. I'm not sure my slide is up there now. Okay. We are looking at fighting corruption and fraud, professional accountants' role in the quest for precision. We all know very well that Transparency International gave definitions for corruption. They also gave definitions for fraud. It did say that corruption had to do with abuse of entrusted powers for private gain, while it also defined fraud as wrongful or criminal deception intended for personal gain as well. Okay, thank you. Now, in spite of these definitions that we are well aware of, and the fact that even stakeholders understand that there is a fraud triangle, but they still want the professional to be able to speak to them and speak comfort. They know that those who are fraudulent, those who are corrupt, they must have some levels of incentives to do that. They have opportunities to deal with that. And then they also have the rationalization behind it. Even then, the accountant is expected, the professional accountant is supposed to come and guarantee precision. It needs to be fastidious. It needs to guarantee exactitude, because 1 + 1 is 2. Everybody can understand that. But in an environment where you are looking at judgments and estimates, you are looking at complex transactions, you need a professional to guarantee that. Of course, we all agree that it hurts everyone who depends on the integrity of people in authority to protect their trust and to protect their confidence when they are misguided. So, how can the accountants come in to assist? The first thing is that we look at whether the accountant has the right environment to be able to deal with this. Is this something that you can approach ethically? First, I want us to consider the environment of the tools of the accountant. Next slide, please. I want us to consider the environment of the tools of the accountants. We do agree that a fish is as clean as the ocean he swims. The environment of the accountant can be in form of what are the accounting standards that are in use, what are the auditing standards, then what are the laws, the company's laws, and what are the tax laws. But there are other environments. What of the valuation standard, the actuarial standard, the corporate governance standards, the other professionals who are in the financial reporting process that bring in figures that come into the financial statement. How are these ones guided as well? Because in the course of his training, professional accountants is taught to rely on the judgment of a professional. So who are these environments? How are these tools coming in? Sorry, okay, my next slide is up. So I said the fish is as clean as the environment it swims. So the first problem is the tools that you should be looking at for the accountant. Then the second thing is to look at the environment of his support. Is the professional accounting organization within this jurisdiction, are they proactive or they are reactive? If they are proactive, there are things that the accountants can do because it's getting a lot of support. But if they are reactionary, it means they are just depending on issues would have happened, events would have happened, then they start running behind. Then you also need to look at the environment of the regulation of the accountant. Is it such that there is a framework of effective accountability? Is there corporate governance in that jurisdiction that can support the accountants? It is only then you can be able to situate the accountant in the right place to fight corruption or to assist in fighting corruption by supporting the pillars of corruption. Next slide. The first pillar that we should see when we are looking at corruption is to know whether there are institutions that can persuade the legal foundation of the economy. For instance, we do know that in the US, you have Sabiously Acts. In Nigeria, we have the Financial Reporting Council, as you have in the UK, you have in Malaysia. Of course, if you can check Section 143 of the Indian Act, it's very persuasive. If you can check the 2005 South African Act, it's also persuasive. This is the first thing that the accountant should help to support if he wants to fight corruption. How? When there are legislations being passed in national assemblies, among the legislatures, the accountant should be there to at least contribute when there are public hearings. And when you go there, you need to support a few things. You need to defend financial reporting issues. within the law. You need to also defend corporate governance issues. You need to also defend cooling off period. For instance, you cannot just retire as managing director of a bank and then be moving straight to become a political party ticket holder to go contest elections. What that means to the accountant is that all the while you have been running non-performing loans to a particular entity, and then you don't want to use the money. So there should be, all of these should be there within the law. The accountant can participate in fighting corruption by ensuring that he participates in the lawmaking. In my jurisdiction, ICANN and ANA, they are very frontal. They sit in public hearings and they write memorandum to public hearings, and that has assisted a lot in ensuring that the laws that are coming out is adequately protected. Then the accountant can also support by ensuring that there's sound statutory system of corporate governance. This they can do by working within the steps of the issues that are located within the financial reporting framework. If you look at self-assessment, a self-assessment during preparation of financial statement, the accountants, like the chairman rightly said, they are the one preparing these accounts. Okay, they are the one that will look at it in internal audit. Then they will come and come as external auditors to look at it. But you see, if there are no international standards for the private sector, there are no international standards for the public sector, like looking at ISAs and IFRS. There are no national standards. The accountant is handicapped. So the accountant can ensure that these standards are adhered to, the nation move to international standard very quickly, and then they have reporting benchmark. The accountant can also help by ensuring that the audit committee, board of directors, and the shareholders are well equipped with the information that will be needed. For instance, you can pursue elaborate or robust disclosures in management discussion and analysis. The accountant can also assist in fighting corruption by looking at statutory audit. The business environment now is not such that you don't totally look at should I rely more on internal audit, but it now requires also begin to think of business controls. In the last plenary session, you had speakers talking about the accountants coming in to have an understanding of the business model of the organization. That means you should be dealing with business controls. And for statutory audit, the external auditors should not only just deal with business controls. He should ensure that as he's bringing out his auditor's report, he should follow through with his domestic report or management letters. That will enable those who are looking at the financials to be able to deal with the two at the same time, rather than sending your auditor's report far behind first, and then after by some period of time begin to send in your management audit. The analysis that are provided by public and the press, the professional accountants can help in this direction by largely the PAOs as well. They should be able to assist by carrying out seminars for finance correspondents of major newspapers. You can also do seminars for accounting for non-accountants. That enables readers of the accounts to be able to understand how they can support this. The professional accountant can also use assist in this by looking at market forces that can punish poor disclosures. How? Education of shareholders. The journals that are published by professional accountancy bodies should be readable. You look at the Financial Times, you can read it. Everybody can read the Financial Times and have a fair idea. The journals that we publish should not be too complicated, should not be too technical. Institutional oversight is also one of them. Who are those that are working as regulators? They are largely professional accountants as well. So the accountants among them should be able to use this as a means to assist in cutting down corruption. Court through sanctions and complaints. When I don't know how we will feel if we are called to appear before a court of law when the accounts that are audited by professional accountants are questioned. So it's important that we also educate judges, seminars for judges on financial reporting issues. Then reward through integrated reporting. Of course, South Africa has done this for about 2 years now. This is the 3rd year with Ernst & Young. Nigeria will just coming up on stream. On this, we're also doing the top 100 businesses that'll be rewarded, in this year. Other issues have to do with the national code, which you see code of corporate governance in so many countries. In our jurisdiction, we're also putting one together. But how do you come in as professional accountants? If there's a code in your jurisdiction, whether it's comply or explain, or you have a code that is dealing with, that is largely statutory, ensure that there are 4 benchmarks that are there. It must be able to protect what we call Directors' Liability Index. It must protect whistleblowing. It must have investor protection index, and it must also have minority shareholders protection. Next slide, please. Okay, I just get to that. Next slide. Now, what are the guarantors of precision, really? You must have transparency, you must have efficient laws, you must have active market. Other than code of corporate governance, you must have effective compliance and enforcement mechanism. Next slide. Yes, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, my final slide had to talk about the expanding role that you see for CFOs. We just had CFOs talk to us. The CFO's regime has expanded and it's become complicated, but as CFO, or as a professional accountant, in order to deal with fraudulent issues, we are now required to inject more of objectivity into financial disclosures, consider company succession plans, and reinforce a culture of compliance. Thank you very much.